doesn't hurt, and no pain whatsoever.
So the red light's on, is that all right?
Oh, okay. Boker Tov.
I'd like to thank Michael for letting me do services today, for abdicating the throne. This week, Sherry and I come to the end of our 11 months for our son Neil, and Sherry ends Shaloshing for her sister Terry. So I asked Michael whether I could do services this morning. So Michael, thank you very much. Let's start on page 12 and I'll rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher nasan l'sechivnim b'nei layla.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'tzamo.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani Yisrael.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasani b'chorin.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokei afivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mapi sharmim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokev kufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rakah haaretz hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shasali kol tzarki.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamechim mitzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam motei Yisrael b'tifarah.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Motein
hanesei
layoif
koach.
koach. Page 14.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha banu mikol haolamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. On page 17, we read responsively. In the fulfillment of the following mitzvot, no fixed measure is imposed.
Leaving the corners of the field for the poor, the gift of the first fruits, the pilgrimage offering at the temple, deeds of loving kindness, and the study of the Torah. With regard to the fulfillment of the following mitzvot, we enjoy their fulfillment in this life, while an ongoing joy results even unto eternity. Honoring parents, deeds of loving kindness, the study of the Torah, hospitality to strangers, visiting the sick,
enabling the bride to rejoice on her wedding day, escorting the dead to the grave, prayer and peacemaking, but the study of the Torah is by itself equal to them all. Those who are in mourning and those observing a yard site today, please rise for the Kaddish D'Rabbanan on page 18.
Yiskadal v'yiskadash shnei rabbah, v'yamad divrach erutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon v'yamei chon v'chaye l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shnei rabbah mivarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemed kudisha b'recho, le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tishbechata v'nechemata, damikram b'yamav v'yimaru amen. Al Yisrael v'al Rabbanan v'al Tamidehon, v'al kol Tamidehon, v'al kol man dazkin b'oraita, di v'yasra hadei v'di b'chol atar v'yatar. Yehei lehon l'chon shlama rabba, china v'chista v'rachamim, v'chayin arichinim z'navicha, ufor kana mikadam avuhon di b'shmaya v'yimaru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayin tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen. Oseh shalom v'mirmav, u'barachamav yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru amen.
Amen. On page 21, we'll read responsively. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have raised me up and have not allowed my adversaries to overcome me.
O Lord my God, I cried unto you, did heal me.
O Lord, you saved me from the peril of death and kept me alive.
Sing praises to the Lord, O you his faithful ones, and give thanks to his holy name.
His anger is but for a moment, while his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may come upon us at night, but joy comes in the morning.
I have said in my security, I shall never be disturbed.
O Lord, in your kindness you granted me mountains of strength, but when you turned away from me, I became frightened.
Therefore I did call unto you with supplication, asking,
what profit is there if I die and go to the netherworld? Can dust praise you? Can lifeless beings declare your truth?
Hear, O Lord, and be gracious to me, be my helper.
Then you did turn my mourning unto dancing, undoing my sackcloth and robing me in gladness.
So that my soul might sing your praises and not be silenced.
O Lord my God, I will give thanks unto you forever.
Leman yizamecha, kavod v'lo yidon, Adonai Elohai le'olam odecha.
Page 22.
Yachi keholami, melech meshivakim forayadot shmo hagadol, baruch atzah Adonai, melech mehula, bati yishbachah.
Page 24. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, 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 El Bekacho, hallelujah, Birkia Uzo. Hallelujah, Big Verotov, hallelujah, Karav, good love. Hallelujah, Beteka Shafar, hallelujah, Benebel Bechinor, hallelujah, Besofa Machol, hallelujah, Beminim Biugav, hallelujah, hallelujah, Betzil Tzalei Shama. Hallelujah, hallelujah, B'tzil tzalei shua. Kol anshamot hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kol anshamot hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Nishtabach shim chol Elokeinu.
Thank you.
Rachov v'hodov me'atov yado lombo rochatzah Adonai el melech gadol batishbachot el hadon adon haniflo becher b'shirei zimra melech achei ha'olamim Yiskadav yiskadashim merabo
Amen.
Mori brachutei v'yamlik machutei b'chayechoni v'mechon v'chayerecho beit Yisrael v'agalav izman kori v'imru
Amen.
Yeheshmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Olamei Omaya Yisborach V'ishtabach V'itpa'ar V'yiterma V'yitnosei V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shmei L'Kudisho B'richu Le'elam Min Kol Birchoto V'shiroto Tishbechoto V'nechemoto Damiran B'yoma V'imiru
Amen. Please rise for the Baruch Hu. Page 28.
Baruch Hu Adonai HaMaroch
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Elohim melech haolam Page 30.
V'chulam pochim ikvichem b'kdushav Torah v'shimra zimra u'mevarchim u'meshabchim u'farim u'maritzim u'makdishim u'mamlichim Hashem Hoel Melech HaGadol Gibor Hanara Kodesh Hu Lakdish Litzron V'nach Ruach B'safar V'ravin Kedusha Kulam Echad Onim V'yomrim B'yirah
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaos, Malach Haaretz Kevodo.
V'afanim v'hayot HaKodesh, B'rash Gadol Minasim L'matzrafim, L'matam Meshabchim V'yomrim.
Baruch Kavod Adonai Mikomo. Page 32.
L'chadash atzion tzayiv, v'nizkech v'lon emero le'oro, Baruch atah Adonai yotzer ha'orot.
On page 33, we'll read Blessing of Revelation responsively. With abounding love you have loved us, O Lord our God. With tenderness you have guided us along life's paths.
We implore you, O compassionate one, to have mercy on us,
To help us to understand ever more deeply, to listen ever more closely, to teach ever more zealously, to observe ever more sincerely, and to love ever more truly the words of your Torah. May our eyes shine with thoughts of Torah, and may our hearts be directed to serve you in love and reverence, so that nothing we do will ever cause us to be ashamed.
Trusting at all times in your holy and awesome name, may we delight in the joy of your deliverance.
Gather us who are scattered throughout the world under your canopy of peace. Bring us all to a haven of security and dignity, O source of redemption.
You have taken us unto you from the midst of all peoples. You have brought us to you in truth,
So that we may play lovingly before the world your unity and uniqueness. Praised are you, O Lord, who has lovingly summoned Israel to his service.
V'keirav tan l'shimcho hagados elo b'emed l'hodod l'cho yachecha b'avo baruch atah Adonai abocher b'amo Yisrael b'avo
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta es Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinan tov levavecha v'dibarta bam, v'shiptecha b'veitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shakbecha u'kumecha. V'kshartam liot al yadecha, v'hayu l'totavot b'neinecha. V'ustaptan am zot beitecha v'visharecha. On page 37, we'll read the last paragraph together. Therefore, keep my words in your heart and in your soul. Bind them as a sign upon your arm, and let them be a reminder above your eyes. Teach them to your children, speaking of them when you are at home and when you are away, both day and night. Write them upon the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, so that your days and the days of your family upon the land which the Lord promised to your ancestors will be as numerous as the days of the heavens over the earth.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
On page 43, we'll read responsively. True and precious, beautiful and sanctifying has your teaching been to our people, O Lord, from generation to generation.
The living
Word inscribed upon our hearts has preserved and guided us in all the twisted paths of life. For us, as for our ancestors, your true faith is of enduring strength. It is the crown of life, the pledge of eternity. Learn to perceive truth and faith, life and love, and freedom in your immutable law. You appeared in days of old to our people as the faithful Redeemer, rescuing them from bondage, lifting them up from despair, and infusing them with renewed life and hope. The furthest heavens cannot contain you, and unless near to all call upon you, humbling the arrogant and raising up those who have been oppressed. O Rock and Holy One of Israel, may your redeeming power be seen in our lives. Then we shall sing unto you a new song, as our ancestors did before us, when they perceived your glory. Mi kamelcha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamelcha nedor ba'kodesh, no tehilot, o seifele.
Shirach Adasha, Shipkugalim Lishimcha Safat Hayom, Yachad Kulam, Hodu Vihim Lechu V'Amru.
Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Tzur Yisrael, Kuma b'Ezrat Yisrael, Uvdei Kinumecha Yehuda v'Yisrael, Go Aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Kol Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNera, El Elyon, Gomel Chasodim Tovim V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot, U'Mevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, L'man Shemo B'Yahavo, Melech Ozer Mashiach Mogain, Baruch atah Adonai, Mogain Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Yeh Meitim Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGoshem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed,
Mechayeh Meitim Barachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim Barafei Cholim Matir Asurim, Mekayeh Munato Shenei Afar, Michal Melchal Bagim Arod, Umido Melach, Melech Meimitu Chayeh Matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Chayeh Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaMeitim.
Nekadesh et Shimcha B'olam, Kishem Shema Kishma.
Nikadesh Shimcha B'olam, Kishem Shema Kishim U'tov B'shmei Moron, Kakatu V'yal Nevi'echa, V'karo Zel Zev Yamar.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Malach al haaretz
Kadosh, Kadosh,
kevodo.
Kadosh, Adonai Tzvaos, Melech Kol Haaretz Kevodo, L'motom Baruch Yameru.
Baruch kavod Adonai
Baruch
mimkomo.
Kavod Adonai Mimkomo, Divrei Kodshecha Katuv Lemor.
Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohai of Tzion, L'dor vador, hallelujah.
Sion L'dor vador, hallelujah. L'dor vador nagigod lecho, U'netzach netzachim kedushat kol nakdish, V'shifach Elohim mipnei le'yamush le'olam voed, Ki el melech kadosh v'kadosh ato, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'kadosh.
Continue quietly through page 62. Thank you. Shalom b'Ramal, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, v'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael. V'imru, amen. May the words of our mouths and the meditation of our hearts be acceptable to you, Lord, our rock and our redeemer. You establish peace in the heavens. Grant it now on earth to us, to Israel, and to all humankind. Amen.
Amen.
Page 64.
יסקדם ויסקדה שמי רבו.
אמן.
ילמוד יברוך ירתה מימלך מלכותי, בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בגלו בזמן קריב וימרו.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Ve'olam Leomei Omaya, Yisbarach.
יספורק וישתבק ויתפאר ויתרמה ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי לקודשו.
Brechu.
לאלון מכל ברכתו ושירתו, תשבחתו ונחמתו, תמירון ביומו ואמרו.
Amen.
תזכבה צלותון ובאותון כל ישראל, כל דמו בהומדי בשמיה ואמרו.
Amen.
יהי שלמה רבו משמיה, וחיים עלינו ביעקב ישראל ואמרו.
Amen.
עושה שלום בממוב הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ביעקב ישראל ואמרו.
Amen.
Sort of a PSA this morning, public service announcement, to think, or really, I guess, to let you know about some upcoming changes in terms of how we daven at Bethel. So we'll be talking about this for the next, I guess, couple of weeks at this point, and put the changes into regular use on the Shabbos of February 11th. Is that a Saturday? Is that right? February 11th, yeah. So essentially, we're not going to do the service anymore. No, I'm just kidding. That's Kiddush and go. There you go, Steve. Now that's a shul. That's it, right? So there are two sort of quirks in our practice, particularly sort of choreographical quirks. One has to do with the Shema, and the other has to do with Aleinu. Okay? So in terms of the Shema, you know that our tradition, our custom at Bethel has always been that when we get to the Shema, everyone stands up and we say the Shema Yisrael, and then we say the V'ahavta paragraph. Then everyone sits down, and then we go on to the second two paragraphs of the Shema. Shema is a three-paragraph liturgical unit. That's unusual in the conservative community, very, very unusual, to the point where, as far as I know, Bethel is the only conservative congregation in the entire country that stands for the Shema, as far as I know. Now, in the Reform movement, it's common. I grew up in the Reform movement, and it was the tradition in the congregation I grew up in. Everyone stood up for the Shema. And in fact, when you sort of trace the development of that custom, you find that it was started in the Reform movement. Now, we know that it's permissible to say the Shema in a variety of physical configurations, if that makes any sense. So you can say the Shema when you're standing, you can say the Shema when you're sitting, you can say the Shema when you're lying down. It's all fine. In fact, I just said the Shema when I was standing. It's all fine. But what the traditional halachic literature does not like, is to have an interruption before the Shema is recited, okay? Which means that the preference in the halakha, in the Jewish legal tradition, is the following. If you're sitting and the Shema comes up, stay seated. If you're standing and the Shema comes up, stay standing. What they don't want you to do is to be seated and stand, or to be standing and to sit. The reason for that is they feel it interrupts sort of the flow of the service. It interrupts sort of the flow of where you are in your davening. And interestingly, the Shema is the Shema itself, the line Shema Yisrael, and to a lesser extent the V'ahavta paragraph, are really the only two things that the traditional halakha wants you to have very sort of careful intention for. That's probably why the tradition of covering the eyes for the Shema developed. So change number one will be that instead of standing for the Shema, we're going to just stay seated when we recite the Shema. This will make evening services much easier. Those of you who participate in evening services know you literally stand for Baruch Hu, and then the way we were doing it, you sit down, and then you stand right back up for the Shema. It really doesn't make any sense at all. But to keep with the traditional halachic understanding of that liturgical moment and to bring Bethel more in line with the practices in the conservative movement at large, we're going to begin, and again, it'll be February 11th, we'll make that liturgical change permanent. We'll begin to just stay seated for the Shema, whether morning or evening services. So that's change number one. Change number two, what's the other Bethel liturgical quirk? Well, yeah. Say it again, Cheryl. Right, so look at Aleinu for a second. Page 80. Remember Jerry Cohen Jerry Cohen of blessed memory, was a wonderful guy and a mainstay at our minyan for many, many years. And Jerry would get up, commonly did the service with Rennie, right? And they would say, to begin, the first thing they would say is, page 80, Aleinu, okay. Everyone would get all excited. Wow. Okay, so Aleinu, if you look on page 80, what we do at Bethel is we stand for the beginning of Aleinu, of course, and then we do the part where you, in terms of choreography, where you bend the knee and you bow at the waist, and then everybody sits down. That's also very unusual in the conservative movement. In fact, it's unusual in general, even in the Reform movement, as far as I know. And so why do we do it? I mean, if you want to talk about that, I think I actually sort of unpacked how that tradition developed. It's not that important at this point, but we're going to just continue to stand through the end of Aleinu, and that'll begin also February 11th, okay? So, yeah, Sharon. The Kaddishes. Yeah, Kaddish. Yeah, Kaddish is weird. Some people do stand for all Kaddishes, some people don't. The tradition with Kaddish more is if you're sort of in a standing position already or about to stand, you do stand. It's not an absolute requirement to stand for Kaddish. There's sort of disagreement about it. Cheryl, don't take me there right now. I'm having. Let us just do Shema and Aleinu, and then in 5 years maybe we'll get to the right. So I wanted everyone to be aware, you know, the morning minyan is in a way the core of the davening in the shul, because you're here every day davening. And so in a sense, and many of you also come Shabbos morning, and in a sense, you'll be the leaders in the congregation in terms of enacting this change, because it will spread from morning minyan into Shabbos and like that. So again, February 11th, you know, I would say if you want to institute practice in your own davening now, go ahead. No reason not to, but sort of formal moment will be the 11th of February, that Shabbat. Thanks, everyone. Have a good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.
Page 76 for Ashrei. You can do it in Hebrew.
Ashrei Yeshvei Beitecho, Yihallucho Selo.
Ashrei Ham Shekachalo, Ashrei Ham Shadonai Elohav.
Tehillah David, Aramim Cholai Amelech, V'Arvachoshim Chol Ilam Voed.
V'choyam avarchecha, v'hala shimcha li'olam va'ed.
Godod Elohim Elam Lod, V'ligdol Lecha Echeker.
Dor l'dor shabach ma'asecha, u'gvurotecha yagidu.
Adar Kavod Hodecha, V'divrei Nivlotecha Asicho.
V'zuznoretecha yomeru, u'gduacha asaprena.
Zecher Rav Tivcho Yabiu, V'tzikocha Yiranenu.
Chanun v'rachum Adonai, erech apayim gdol chesed.
Tovanoi Lakov, V'rachamo V'kol Masov.
Yoducha Adonai kol ma'asecha, v'chasidecha yivarechucha.
Kavod Malchut Cho Yameru, Gvorot Cho Yedaberu.
L'hodia livnei hadam gvurotav, u'kvod hadar malchuto.
Malchut Cho Olamim, Umem Shatecha B'chol Dor V'Dor.
So mech Adonai l'chol hanoflim, v'zokef l'chol hakfufim.
Einecho Elecha Yesaberu, V'yoto Noten Lohem Et Achlam B'ito.
Poteach et yadecha, u'maspil l'chol chai ratzon.
Sadik Adonai B'chol Deracha, V'chasid B'chol Masov.
Karov Adonai l'chol karav, l'chol asher yikra'u v'emet.
Ritzoni Rav Yaseh, V'yet Shavotam Yishma V'yo Moshiach.
Shomer Adonai et kol havav, et kol harshayim yashmid.
Tiladonoi daber, vivareko basar shem kodsho le'am voed.
V'anachnu nevarech Yah, etov yad olam. Hallelujah. Page 80, Oleinu. Leinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, la'tei kedula li'oser breshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kohem, v'goro leinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, shehu notel shamayim v'yosei haaretz, Moshav yikaro b'shamayim imav, Ushchinas uzo, v'kovhei meromiv, Hu Eloheinu eino, Emet malkeinu efetzulato, Kakotu b'torato, V'dato hayom v'yodato hayom,
Vashevoto
Elevavecha, Ki Adonai hu Elohim, Bashamayim mimah, v'yaretz, mitachat eino.
Kakotu b'torotecho, Adonai loch le'olam voed.
V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai melech al kol ha'aretz, Hayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. We pause at this time to remember with reverence those of our dearly beloved whose yortzites are observed today, the 5th day of Shvat. Marceline Karsh Buckman, Jephthah Drachman, Joseph Eisen, Rose Epstein, Sylvia Fryman, Marion Klein, Sarah Klein, Mrs. Rosa Marks, Judy Paradis, Frida M. Rome, Ira Melvin Shapiro, Abraham Siegel, Sylvia Silberg, Israel Stein, Helen B. Werba, and Albert Slotowitz. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, may their righteous blessings ever be for them.
Amen.
In solemn testimony to the unbroken chain of faith which links our generations one to another, those who are in mourning and those observing a yortzeit today, please rise for the mourner's Kaddish, which can be found on page 82. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach urutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya.
Yisparach,
V'yistabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kudashah b'richu, le'elah min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiram b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'ramav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. The psalm for Friday can be found on pages 96 and 97.
Hayom yom shishi v'shabbat shebahaim omrim b'chet hamikdash.
The Lord is king, he is robed in grandeur. The Lord is robed, he is girded with strength.
The world stands
Stands firm, it cannot be shaken. Your throne stands firm from of old. From eternity you have existed.
The ocean sounds, O Lord, the ocean sounds as thunder, the ocean sounds as pounding.
Above the thunder of the mighty waters, more majestic than the breakers of the sea is the Lord, majestic on high.
Your
Decrees are indeed enduring. Holiness befits your house, O Lord, for all time. We'll close our service with the Mourner's Kaddish, page 82. Yifkadal v'yifkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'galah v'zman kariv v'yimaru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu. Le'elam in kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, damiram b'yalma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen. Oseh shalom ramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru, amen.
Shabbat shalom. Early.
Thank you. One day. Oh, I'm sorry. I know I saw your name on there one day this week. I think it was yesterday, but I don't remember who it was.
Okay, neither